World champions of the past, we have world champions of the present. Marissa Shields in the building. Marissa.
Jake Paul, it's clear to me you are desperate for a reality check. You know what? If I made my money impressing 4-year-olds on YouTube and managed to somehow become a multimillionaire from it, I'd probably live in a dream world too. But let me explain something to you about combat sports. There are a whole bunch of men out here who will never be as famous as you, will never make the money you've made, who would kick the living.
Andrew T. just called out Jake Paul, the so-called boxing prodigy, for dodging his fight offer. For someone who claims to take on anyone, anywhere, Jake seems to have suddenly developed a suspicious case of stage fright when it comes to facing Tate. Tate, however, isn't pulling any punches with his words. According to him, the problem child has turned into the avoidance expert. Let's be real, Jake's not exactly busy with tough opponents. Cherry-picking has practically
Found on the fucking internet. If you want to fight and you want to send a contract, send one to me. I will take a few weeks break from living my retired life to kick the living fuck out of a fucking goofy, fucking entitled dickhead like you. You know my name, Andrew.
become his trademark. This isn't the first time Jake Paul's bravado has fallen flat. Remember his open challenge to Conor McGregor, which led nowhere, or his feud with Sean Strickland, another empty flex. Andrew Tate didn't hold back, claiming that Jake thrives on headlines.
Wow. But here we are, so we could talk about that side note announcement. And please go watch the episode.
Hold on a second. What you mean you versus Andrew Tate? Because
No, I'm not saying a fight. I'm saying like our back and forth. He talks shit about me and like says he wants to beat my ass or can beat my ass and all this stuff.
I think there's a better fight to make.
I am so excited about this fight.
Andrew Tate has been training with the...
Not real fights. Andrew Tate has consistently criticized Jake Paul's approach to the sport, and rejecting a fight with him only added fuel to the fire. Tate mocked Jake's excuses, from claims that the terms weren't right to vague mentions of career strategy. Never one to hold back, Tate dismissed these as nothing more than fear disguised as PR talk. According to him, Jake's entire career is built on dodging real competition. And when you look at the...
If my brother doesn't fuck you up, I will. And it has to go down. But I don't think he gets in the ring with one of us.
Jake's reluctance becomes even more glaring when you consider his upcoming fight with Mike.
Facts, it's hard to disagree. Jake Paul's reluctance becomes even harder to ignore when you consider his upcoming fight with Mike Tyson. Yes, Tyson is a legend and a name that will undoubtedly draw millions of pay-per-view buys, but he's also 57 years old. Despite his iconic status, Tyson's prime is decades behind him, making any fight with Jake feel more like an exhibition than a serious contest. Andrew Tate didn't mince words, calling out the contradiction in Jake's narrative. How can he claim to be a disruptor in boxing while choosing to fight someone closer to retirement age than elite competition?
Hardest sport in the world, and people dedicate their lives to this, and most of them never get a payday. It never pays off for the majority of fighters, all of which would fuck you up. I'm one of the lucky ones. I made a little bit of money. I don't have 50 million to bet with you, but I do have 3 million to bet with you. So this is your offer. $3 million.
It's not just the Tyson fight that's raising eyebrows, it's the recurring pattern in Jake Paul's career. He has a history of calling out big names but never following through. His challenge to Conor McGregor went nowhere, and his flashy call-out of Sean Strickland fizzled just as quickly. Jake's playbook is clear. Talk big, generate buzz, but avoid stepping into the ring with a real threat. Andrew Tate has repeatedly called Jake out, and unlike some of Jake's other targets, Tate is not only willing but also highly qualified to fight. As a seasoned professional with victories over world-class competition, Tate represents a legitimate challenge. A fight between the two wouldn't just be a spectacle, it would be a true test of Jake's skills. But instead of stepping up, Jake has chosen the comfort of hand-picked opponents, preferring to maintain control over his narrative. "I will fight you any day of the Beacer's week," Tate declared, making it clear that he's ready for the fight Jake has been avoiding. This isn't just about Andrew Tate's frustration with Jake Paul, it's about what Jake's actions mean for his legacy. Jake loves to position himself as a disruptor, someone redefining boxing. But as they say, actions speak louder than words. By dodging fights with legitimate contenders like Tate, Jake undermines his own narrative. Rather than revolutionizing the sport, he seems more focused on turning boxing into a reality TV show where he controls the storyline. Fans are catching on, and social media has erupted with criticism of Jake's decision to duck Tate. The public is beginning to see through the carefully curated image, recognizing that Jake's rise in boxing has been driven more by
Jake Paul, it's clear to me you are desperate for a reality check. You know what? If I made my money impressing 4-year-olds on YouTube and managed to somehow become a multimillionaire from it, I'd probably live in a dream world too. But let me explain something to you about combat sports. There are a whole bunch of men out here who will never be as famous as you, will never make the money you've made, who would kick the living fuck out of you. This is the hardest sport in the world, and people dedicate their lives to this, and most of them never get a payday. It never pays off for the majority of fighters who
spectacle than genuine skill. Meanwhile, Andrew Tate has only gained respect for exposing the hypocrisy and directly challenging Jake to step up. This situation highlights a much deeper issue within the world of boxing. The sport has always straddled the line between skill and showmanship. But Jake Paul's approach skews heavily toward the latter. By prioritizing marketable matchups over meaningful competition, he's contributing to the erosion of boxing's integrity. While showmanship has always been a part of the sport, Jake's strategy seems to be shifting the focus too far away from the true essence of boxing: skill, competition, and respect for the sport itself. Andrew Tate's criticism goes far beyond personal frustration. It's about defending the sport of boxing. Tate sees Jake's tactics as a threat to the sport's credibility, and rightfully so.
Focused on boxing boxers, people that are in the space that you reside.
Jake, I know he's been talking shit about you, bro. Yeah. But with your blessing, can I beat the shit out of Andrew fucking Tate?
100%.
Boxing is supposed to celebrate the best fighting the best, not just the loudest or most marketable. What makes the situation even more frustrating is that a fight between Jake and Tate would have been a blockbuster event. Both men are charismatic, skilled at hyping up a fight, and known for their larger-than-life personalities. The build-up alone would have been worth watching, drawing attention from fans and media worldwide. But more importantly, this fight would have given Jake an opportunity to prove himself against a legitimate fighter, someone with years of experience and success at the highest level. It would have been a true test of his skills in a way that no hand-picked opponent can offer. However, Jake's decision to reject the fight sends a clear message. He's not ready for that level of competition. Instead of stepping up and taking on a real challenge, he's opting for the comfort of opponents who don't pose the same risks to his carefully crafted image. Tate isn't letting this go quietly, and why should he? Jake's decision to walk away from the opportunity isn't just a missed chance for both men, it's a telling indicator of Jake's priorities. For all his talk about wanting to be taken seriously as a boxer, his actions suggest otherwise. This isn't an isolated incident either. Jake's career is filled with moments where his bravado has outpaced his follow-through.
But let's say he would call you to fight. Would you take it?
Yeah, I mean, Jake and I actually talk. He's an all right guy. There was a time we were talking about fighting each other, and I think if this arrest didn't happen, it probably would have come to fruition. We'll see what happens.
From challenging Conor McGregor to teasing a fight with Mike Tyson, Jake has consistently generated buzz without delivering on his promises. His latest move only reinforces the growing perception that he's more focused on headlines than on genuine competition. Fans and critics alike are starting to recognize that Jake's rise in boxing isn't about skill, but about creating a spectacle. It's becoming clear that Jake's priority is to keep the spotlight on himself, even if that means avoiding the toughest challenges in the ring. This time feels different. By rejecting a fight with Andrew Tate, Jake Paul isn't just dodging another opponent. He's dodging a real opportunity to prove himself, and the public knows it. Tate's relentless criticism has only intensified the scrutiny on Jake, making it harder for him to hide behind excuses or vague justifications. The spotlight is on him now, and with every passing day, the pressure builds. Contrast that with Andrew Tate's offer. Tate is a multiple-time kickboxing world champion, having competed professionally against some of the most legitimate and skilled fighters in the world. This wouldn't be just another match against a retired athlete or an influencer still figuring out the ropes of combat sports. It would be a true test against someone who has been in the ring with real world-class opponents. Tate isn't just some random challenger looking for attention. He's a seasoned professional capable of exposing any weaknesses Jake might have. Jake Paul may have built his career off hype and spectacle, but this fight would have been something entirely different. It would have required him to step up and face a fighter with the kind of experience and skill that could actually challenge him. Instead, by turning down this fight, Jake sends a message to the world. He's not ready to take that risk, and maybe, just maybe, he's afraid of what might happen if he does. This isn't just about avoiding one fight. It's about dodging a real chance to prove he belongs at the top of the boxing world. And as the public sees through his excuses, the pressure on him will only continue to mount.